Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to Fortunate Sunday 9. It is March 3rd, 2023. Also releasing a movie today called Children of the Corn. So it's a busy day. Eager and glad to get started here on Fortunate Sun. Again, yesterday was a very important day because I fundamentally created a new character, which is Don the detective. But most importantly, he's the eyes through which the audience sees the movie, and which is so important because audiences need a way to interpret what they're seeing and what they're feeling. And often they can, as crazy as it sounds, as opposed to letting them think for themselves, if there's somebody that they trust and they like, they can do that interpretation a lot more quickly and more enjoyably, interestingly enough. If I had, which I was initially trying to do, force the audience to see the movie and the events that happen through the eyes of the actual protagonist, Victor, it would have been much more difficult. It would have been much more difficult for me to write, and it would have been much more difficult for the audience to really inhabit what was going on. It was much more difficult to write because it's really hard to get actors or characters to talk about themselves. And sometimes in movies, things do need to be said, observations do need to be made about the character. And it's much easier to have another character who makes these observations for him. It's kind of interesting if you go back and you watch Rambo, for instance. I'm just pulling the movie off the top of my head, where John Rambo hardly says a word through the second half or the second two-thirds of the movie. But they have a couple of different police characters who are commenting on what he does to the audience and allowing us to really enjoy John Rambo through these other guys' eyes. Sometimes surprise reactions, sometimes I told you so reactions, but it's interesting how movies work, and I think everybody should sort of keep that in mind, that sometimes our characters are ciphers, our heroes are ciphers, and they can't really speak for themselves. The Wick movies are interesting because John Wick is certainly a cipher, and he almost never talks, he never says anything, and they don't really have anybody who's filtering what he does. They just have these very exciting, prolonged action sequences. Honestly, I studied Wick quite a bit. I want to really look at these later films to see how they're doing it. They're getting by on a lot of style, and that is not a knock on them because it's incredible style, but that's very difficult to do. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing this new movie to see how they filtered the character out to the audience. So anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I don't know if I'm going to get into the action scene or not. I might leave that juice over to the Monday to do. But I'm definitely going to get up to it, the moment of it. I really believe in the subconscious, and not only subconscious to work on the movie, because it does. When you're in the middle of writing something like this, and you have all these things in your head, and the subconscious really goes to work. You can't stop thinking about it. So I know that if I wait till Monday to actually just start that action sequence, I know it's actually going to come out better because my little mind is going to have been ticking along in the background, and will actually come up with some really good stuff, and it will understand it better, and it'll just zip out of me on Monday morning. As opposed to if I start tomorrow morning, it'll still work if I start tomorrow morning, but I'm kind of excited about seeing what the little brain does in the meantime. So okay, here we go. Fortunate Son, day 9. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, that takes us right up to about the next big action scene, which I think I'll let percolate in my subconscious over the weekend, and we'll get started on it first thing Monday morning. Very exciting, very exciting. We're off to the races here now, and really gonna blow some stuff up real good. So, but for today, March 3rd, Fortunate Son, that's all she wrote. I'll see you Monday morning.